Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this morning, which is called Getting Involved in EO Day. I'm really pleased that so many of you have been able to join us this morning. We're waiting for a few more people to join us, but the session is being recorded, so we'll be able to share this after the event. So very much welcome you all this morning. Delighted that you're here to learn more about how to make the most of this year's Employee Ownership Day. It's a webinar, which means that we can't see you, but you can see us. I'm absolutely delighted that I'm joined this morning by two of my colleagues from the EOA, Keely Led and Ross Herring, and also by Emily Elston from Baxendale. Just a bit of protocol. If you want to ask questions as we go through this morning's session, can you use the Q&A function, not the chat function? And on the Q&A function, you'll see that you'll be able to vote for other people's questions. So if you see a question that somebody's asked that you think that's a great question and I would like to ask that as well, if you can vote for that or like it, and that means it'll go up the list and it'll just make it easier for us to handle the questions that come in this morning. So the reason we've pulled today together is because we wanted to help you celebrate Employee Ownership Day. And the team have asked me just to say a few words about the origins of Employee Ownership Day. So I'm sure those of you who have been around the employee owned sector for a while will know that Employee Ownership Day, the first one was in 2013. So it's year 9 this year. And I love this slide that Ross has just put up on the screen. It's a collection of all the different images that some of you will recognise from previous employee ownership days. So EO Day came about because of the review of employee ownership that took place in 2012. And some of you will know that that was the subject of a review called the Nuttall Review. After the Nuttall Review was published, there was an implementation group set up in the government in what was then the Department for Business, or BIS, as some of you will remember. And that implementation group came up with a plan of activity that would take forward the recommendations of the Nuttall Review. And one of those bits of activity, one of those recommendations was to create more awareness of employee ownership. And that's where the idea of EO Day came from. The first EO Day in 2013 happened on the anniversary of the publishing of the Nuttall Review. And subsequently, as you all know, ever since then, EO Day has been hosted on the last Friday of June, which is a great time to host it. It's just before the children's summer holidays. It allows colleagues in Scotland to get involved because their summer holidays start a little bit earlier than the English summer holidays. So it works for all of the mainland nations, and it just sets us off into summer, I think, in a really nice way. And actually, the picture that I'm going to draw your attention to on here, on the right hand side, you can see a picture of, and some of you will recognise him as Vince Cable, with Philip Dilly, I think, from Arup. And that was on the first Employee Ownership Day back in 2013. And Vince Cable at the time was the business minister in the coalition government. So it was a cracking start to our EO Day celebrations that year. So why did we conceive Employee Ownership Day, or EO Day? Well, I think it was really for 3 reasons. It was to celebrate employee ownership, it was to raise awareness of employee ownership, and it was to focus attention on employee ownership. So it gives you and your businesses a once-a-year opportunity to just think about, what have we achieved as an EO business? Why does employee ownership work so well for us? What does it actually deliver for us? And then not just to do that internally and reflect on your own, but actually to tell that story externally to lots of different audiences, whether that's your local newspaper or the local community in which your business is based, or across your sector through your sector magazines and professional organisations. And in doing that, when you all do that together, we create this huge amount of new awareness of employee ownership. And actually, we start to get the attention of people in the media and people in other important groups across different stakeholders, like the Institute of Directors or the Federation of Small Businesses or the Institute for Chartered Accountants. So your voice is added to lots of other people's and lots of other organisations' voices, and that's how we create that awareness. And it really focuses the attention for us. So we often use that week, as you know, to do other things. You know, we often publish the top 50 results then. We often do an update on the number of EOTs. So it's an absolutely perfect time for you to add your voice to a massive group of others. And in fact, Keely and I were just talking before we came on air And we think that in the last 3 years, that voice, your voices, have actually had a huge impact. We think somewhere in the region of 10 million social media impressions have been delivered over the last 3 years. So even though you might think, I'm just a small firm, what can our small voice do? Believe me, it makes a huge difference when it's all added together. And it's part of that bigger strategic campaign that the EOA is responsible for really realising the potential of businesses and employees and regions through employee ownership. So in the past, you'll know, and the pictures here show it, that we've done lots of things. We've sent you out packs of goodies to play with on the day, you know, whether it's something to hold up, something to write on. Now, we're not doing that moving forwards, and we haven't done it for the last 2 years. Primarily because actually there's an environmental impact of doing that, and we think there's a better way to spread the message. So we've given you digital tools, and we'll continue to do that in the future. And sadly, we won't be able to do anything together, so we're not organising anything as the EOA this year. But we hope with eased restrictions that by the end of June, you may well be able to do something with your colleagues in your premises. That would be great, wouldn't it, if we could do that? So I'm absolutely delighted now to hand back to my colleagues who are going to walk you through some of the ideas that they want you to consider. And Keely and Ross have got a fantastic pack of information to share with you. And then Emily's going to add some news in about another initiative as well. Sadly, I can't stay for the full webinar. I've got a call at 11:30, but I'll stay as long as I can. Don't forget to put your questions into the Q&A. And I hope you have a really informative morning, and that we see the proceeds of all of this on the 25th of June when you celebrate EO Day. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so yes, and thanks for all joining us today.
So Keely, I can't hear you. I don't know if anybody else can.
My mute is off.
No, it's still, doesn't say you're on mute, but
can you hear me now?
No, still can't hear you, Keely, sorry.
I can hear you, Keely. I think you're okay.
Oh, sorry. Everybody's saying they can hear Keely, but I can't. Sorry, Keely, it's only me. Now you have gone on mute.
You are muted now. Oh, still muted, Keely. It's not a webinar without a few technical hiccups, is it?
So here I am in sound and in picture.
There we
go. So again, thank you for joining us today. I think I'm going to talk to you about the theme of EO Day this year. And there's nothing like change and disruption to make you think about what's important. This past year, we've been thinking about what's important to us, what's important to our members. And mainly when we've thought about that, we think it's important that we feel like we're in it together, whether inside your own organisations or whether as part of our EO community sharing insight and best practice. For us, this has made us refocus on our strapline of better business together, and how we've evidenced that it's better business is better for individuals, businesses, and better for society and the economy. So for EO Day 2021, Better Together is the theme, but it is a theme that has run from the beginning of the year and will run to the end, and will culminate in some sort of digital learning and celebration event later in the year. So what we've been hearing is that EO business builds benefits from better engagement, better governance and leadership. And over time, this develops trust and the ability to unite employees behind a common purpose and flex and adapt to the changing needs of the economy and society. Like interlocking circles, like you can see behind me, the EO benefits are create like a scaffold around the business that helps it to react to shocks and to come together to bounce back by doing what is needed. That will look different for different businesses. And we know in the last year that for some, success will have been about surviving, and it will have been about keeping employees feeling included while they're on furlough, keeping their mental health and well-being feeling okay as part of the business. Or for those that had lots of key workers, it's making sure that they felt safe during the pandemic. And for some, it's been a time to adapt, innovate and change, or focus on future-proofing your business through good environmental, social and corporate governance. So thinking of all that and how better together and reflecting on what we've been hearing, what we want to hear about from you is how we're better together for economic resilience, mental health and well-being, when it comes to delivering good business, when it comes to promoting diversity and inclusion, and also as employee owners, as a business and as a sector, how we offer positive impacts by being better together. So these interlocking circles we're talking about are a demonstration of how we are better together through a year, and that will be different for businesses and individuals. And shortly, Ross, the EOA's Digital Marketing Officer, who's running this webinar, will talk you through the collateral for this year and how you can share your circles of EO as part of EO Day's social media campaign. But what I want to talk to you about now is reach. So there are two things about reach, and that is you can reach inside your organisation. You can use EO Day to make sure that your employee owners are enthused about EO. And we've been hearing from our members how important that touch point is. Now, we know you might not be able together. Some of you may be able to be together, and that'd be really exciting. And we love seeing your pictures of when that happens. But you may be able to get together digitally. But what I really want to focus on now is how you can reach outside of your organisation to really have that impact for EO Day. So if you've got a good story to tell and it involves your EO, we have a pack that can help you get out to your local media, or pick up the phone if you need some advice, because we're really willing to help you that. The more we get the story out there, more digital links, the more it's shared. You might have great links with your MP or your industry group, or you may have good links with your customers and suppliers. Now, there's lots of things you can do digitally. You could invite them to a webinar or a meeting, and you can line up your people within your business and tell them about what EO means to you and why you're better together. You could hook up with one of your employee-owned businesses. You can, from the network, you could share ideas. And that's a great thing to do. I know Ross is going to talk later about how we're going to do a matching service. If you want to meet up with an EO business, we will provide a matching service for you to do that on EO Day. So talking about your customers and suppliers, you might not want to join them in, but you might want to send them some information. If you want some ideas on that, again, get in touch. If none of that sounds right for you, you could just set your business a challenge. It's the 9th year of EO Day. So why don't you commit to just telling 9 different people about EO Day and why your business is better together, and reach out and let them know that you're there. There's always social media, but I'm going to let Ross talk about that in a moment. What I really want to talk about now is how your EO stories can make an impact. So this year, we want to celebrate employee ownership. And last year we didn't have our awards. And this year we've decided to do it in a different way, because business success looks completely different in the past year than it has at any other time. So we want to celebrate your stories of how employee ownership has supported you during challenging times. We're doing this in partnership with Baxendale, and we're calling out for you to tell those stories, how being better together in business has been demonstrated over the last year. So what are the categories? The categories are developing business resilience. What have you seen through your year over the last year that has really, really driven you to be more resilient, or thought about how you can be more resilient? How have you reached out to your employees? How have you promoted employee well-being? And who has been a true EO champion, in fact? Who has been that person who's held that EO together, who has inspired people during the past year? I'm sure you have more than one of them in your organisation. Anyone can nominate a true EO champion. And the thing that holds us all together is delivering good engagement and governance. And so your stories might have not have been as different from everybody's, but actually that glue that holds you all together as an EO business, tell us how that's worked for you over the last year. So these stories, we will be collecting them by June the 4th, and we will host them on a web page. That web page will go live on EO Day. You will be able to vote for your favourite stories. You'll be able to promote your own stories. We will be able to create lots of noise on EO Day and beyond. But what we will also do is we will celebrate some of those voted for businesses later in the year. And we will do that through videos and storytelling, possibly case studies. So it's really important you get yourself in that game, because we will focus on those stories, not just for EO Day, but beyond for the rest of the year, for people to learn from, share and celebrate. Now I'm going to hand over to Emily Alston from Baxendale, who's going to tell us why Baxendale has supported EO stories and why EO stories are important to them.
Hello, thanks very much, Keely. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that as a team, when we were offered the opportunity to support this, we were all really, really excited about it. One of the reasons for that is at Baxendale, we're really lucky that employee ownership stories form part of the joy of our day-to-day work, because we get to meet people with incredible stories of the businesses that they've built and the experiences that have led them on the path to employee ownership. But it's more than that to us, actually, because we at Baxendale, we have our own really incredible EO story, which is the reason that we do what we do. Our EO story begins with our founder and employee ownership pioneer, Philip Baxendale, who inherited his family boiler manufacturing business and felt a great deal of discomfort about inheriting this wealth that he didn't feel like he'd earned. And he could see that there were other people who were contributing their expertise and their labour to the business who weren't sharing in the wealth of the business in the same way. And it's a very bumpy story that then leads to employee ownership via the formation of the Baxi Partnership Trust and by Act of Parliament, which leads eventually to us, Baxendale Employee Ownership, who are an employee-owned business, guided in everything that we do by Philip's principles, and dedicated to making employee ownership a reality for other people. And I think it's because of that, because of our own EO story, that we're really so keen to support this project. I should also say, though, on a purely personal note, a really transformational thing that happened early in my own employee ownership journey, when I was working for a business that was looking to move into employee ownership, was a trip to the EOA conference in 2013. And while I was there, I heard all these people telling these really inspirational stories of employee ownership in action. And it's these stories, and also the incredible willingness of people to share these stories of employee ownership, that have absolutely defined my experience of employee ownership and of the employee-owned community and what we are, and what makes me personally so proud to be a part of it. So I think, yeah, these are the reasons that we're so keen to support the EO Stories project, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it. I think it's a fantastic project. I'm going to pass back to Keely now.
Thanks for that, Emily. So if you're interested in EO Stories, keep an eye out in your email inbox today, where we'll be sending out another mailer this afternoon to give you a little bit more information about EO Stories, to launch the page and allow you to kind of submit your own EO Stories for consideration, which will be going live as part of our EO Day celebrations. As a quick intro, hi, I'm Ross. You've probably had more than a few emails from me in the last couple of weeks. It's been very busy at the EOA, lots of news and events to share, with EO Day being probably our biggest one. So what I wanted to talk to you about is how you can get involved in EO Day, a couple of the different ways that you can help celebrate, make a little bit of noise, and generally just kind of have a bit of fun as well. So having spoken to our membership council and to a few of our members, that one of the big things that we can do to help support you and to make your EO Day celebrations as simple as possible and as easy to get involved with was to have one major ask. And this year, our one major ask is for you to show us what your circles of EO are. These are the kind of the building blocks that come together to support your business, your EO community. And there can be 3, there can be more. We've created an example here that you can have a look at, and this is the one that we're going to be sharing on our social media channels. But we've also provided blank templates that you can print them out if you want to. You can just fill them in digitally. It's entirely up to you. You don't even have to use the templates if you don't want to. A couple of the other ideas that we've discussed is you could bake some cakes. You could make a display out of hula hoops. You could print out some circles and have if we can all meet up in person, that is, you can have your employee owners kind of stand all together, each of them holding what they feel is why they're better together in their EO business, and then take a photo of that. The main thing is just to fill that in, or bake, or show it off, take a picture and share it with us on social media. In terms of social media, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the first step, I'd say, for getting involved in EO Day is if you head to the EOA website and onto our EO Day page, you'll now be able to download the campaign pack, which is the one-stop shop for EO Day info. We've put together an introduction into what EO Day is, information on how you can get involved, as well as links to the graphics pack, which will contain all the social images, the wonderful Zoom backgrounds that myself and my colleagues have on today, as well as some templates to help you get involved in contacting your MPs, other businesses, local media, and just making a little bit of noise. So yeah, head to the website, give that a download, and take a look through. And I'm going to explore some of the elements of that with you just now. So in terms of getting involved on social media, one of our big asks, along with kind of showing the EO circles off, is we want to do what's called a thunderclap on social media. So on EO Day, at 1 p.m, we want everybody to either tweet or post or whatever your social media platform of choice's term for it is, this image here, the central one, with the tweet, or which is exactly the right size for a tweet. You don't need to trim it or change it or anything. Just stick that in there and put it out at 1 p.m. Using the hashtags EODay and BetterTogether. And fingers crossed we can get EODay and BetterTogether trending across the internet. Wouldn't that be nice? So we've got our EO social channels over here on the left. This is where you can find us, and make sure to tag us into any posts that you make, because we'll be sharing and kind of supporting the posts of our members on EO Day, because really it's about you guys, and we want to profile you and the activities that you're doing on the day, rather than just making noise ourselves. We've also created a little profile picture overlay, which you can see being modelled by myself with a lot more hair than at the moment, and my lovely partner. So that's available as part of the campaign pack, and you'll be able to overlay that on your profile pictures. We'll also be setting up a Twibbon, which is a Twitter ribbon, and a Facebook overlay that you'll be able to just do that with one push of a button, that we'll be releasing a little bit later down the line. And last year we also started running a series of events with various partners throughout the week, as part of the digital celebrations, and we want to do that again this year as well. So if you're looking to host an event for EO Day or the week of EO Day, then please do let us know. We'd love to get involved in somehow. We could even have one of our staff members tag along to that event and speak at the event, or at the very least we'll be able to show it on our calendar, and we'll be sharing kind of what events will be taking place in the week of EO Day, so that everybody can see that and get that out to the community and get everybody kind of involved as well. And this is the Zoom background that you'll be able to download as part of the pack. We'd thoroughly encourage you to use that in any of your EO Day celebrations, if you're having a Zoom call with your employee owners, or any events that you're hosting. I also wanted to mention, sorry, I'm having a little bit of a brain stop there. I'll come back to it. So what I'd like to do now is open the floor to some questions and answers. If my lovely colleagues would like to turn their cameras and mics back on, we'll start looking through the questions that you've sent in, and feel free to start submitting more as well. Anything you can think of, feel free to send it in, and we'll answer it as best we can. Okay.
I guess we need to kick off with some questions then, Ross. If I was sat in the audience, I might be asking, what's the one thing you definitely want me to do on EO Day? So, you know, if I couldn't do much because I'm really busy, or I've still got staff furloughed, or all my staff are just absolutely flat out because they're frontline workers, what one thing would you want me to do as an organisation?
That would definitely be your circles of EO. Even if you just use the pre-made one, if you just want to share that on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook on the day, every little helps. And as Keely mentioned previously, that it might not seem like a lot with whatever size of business you are. Every post counts, and increases the number of people that see it and that talk about EO Day and start considering employee ownership for themselves.
And the thunderclap you talked about, which I must admit I've never heard of that before. So that is a really important moment, because if we, at 1 o'clock, if every EOA member did a thunderclap at that moment in time and used the right hashtags, I assume that would be like a tsunami of employee ownership in the Twitter sphere that we might have a chance of creating a big bit of impact with.
Absolutely, yeah. And it also potentially kind of trigger the algorithms that pick up on what's trending. So if we have thousands of people talking about hashtag EO Day all at the same time, then we might even make the front page. So dream big.
Wow.
And we've just had a question in just to remind us of the date, which we haven't mentioned the date to everybody, is the 25th of June 2021. And there will be events all of that week. And I can also confirm, I can't confirm who's speaking, but the Robert Oakeshott lecture will actually start off the week of EO Day. We will have one of our Better Business webinars in that week. And I also understand we will have one of our EO conversations this week. And we'd really like to know, actually, would you like to join the EOA for a session on EO Day morning and hear about the latest stats? We'd love if you dropped us a note of whether that's something you'd like to do, because we'd like to put something like that in the calendar. So have we got any other questions coming in?
Yeah, we've just had a really interesting one come through from an anonymous attendee. So EO Day is a great way of engaging employees in understanding more about what it means to be EO. Would you recommend using the employee council and/or employee reps to plan activities?
Well, I think that's a great idea, because those are the people who are in the centre of everything. They hear the employee voice, they probably see the most of the engagement. And I think those are the people who, they might be some of those heroes that we're talking about in the stories, because if they've put their extra time, they've got their day job, but these people who represent employee voices are great people, I think, to be leading the fray. Also comms people, because we need you, social media people, we need you there ready at, is it 1 o'clock, Ross?
It is, yeah.
1 o'clock
PM
on the day. We need that planned in. But we could also do with a bit of a help on the run up, just either counting down or talking about your circles of EO. We're having the biggest lift at the moment in LinkedIn, and that's where a lot of the activities taking place, and also on Twitter. But I think engaging reps, bringing reps together, letting them be the mouthpiece of some of this, and bringing other employee owners together through the reps, and getting their opinion, and then engaging the comms person is absolutely the right way to go.
Yeah, and I think it's a really nice step as well that because we're celebrating employee ownership, to really kind of engage those mechanisms within your business and involve as many people as possible. It's not just a top level decision, it's something for everybody in the business to get involved with and to celebrate.
Yeah. And so I'm just thinking about the EO stories. That isn't something that we've done before. It is kind of in replacement for our awards, because awards haven't felt like the right thing over the last few years, but your stories will ever be important to help us tell our story. And what we'll be starting to see is some research come out about resilience, research about how EO businesses have come out of COVID, and EO stories is actually a way of us having something to say without conducting a big piece of research. We've got some small bits of research, such as White Rose and the top 50 that will come out, and that will talk lots about governance, lots about performance, lots about changes over the last however many years. And the sector is extremely buoyant. We had more than 100 new EO businesses last year. So the results this year will be really interesting, and we can make those available to you. But those stories that you tell are the things that bring that data to life. And so we really, really want to see those stories launched on EO Day. So number 1, get on social media. Number 2, tell us your stories. Number 3, reach out and tell people. If you did one or all of those things, we will have a very, very successful EO Day.
So we've just had a comment from Lisa Fryer that's been upvoted a few times, mentioning that you can schedule your posts in advance. Yeah, if you have TweetDeck or Hootsuite or any of those kind of platforms that you can use to schedule social media posts, then if you can put them in advance, the collateral is all included in the campaign pack. So it's literally simple as copy and pasting the text and the images in there, and then just schedule it. You can even do it today, months in advance, if you're that well planned. So yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And we've got another comment in here. How will you vote for the EO story submissions? Well, the webpage that goes live on EO Day will allow you to vote in each section. So you can you don't just have to vote for one, you can vote for one in each of those 4 categories. There will be a button to do that. We're just having a good bit of fun testing that out at the moment, but the page actually will go live later today, won't it? And then the stories linked to that will go live on EO Day. And so even if you haven't got a story to tell, voting and sharing that story because you like that story is something that, again, will create lots and lots. It's light touch, but just by sharing that story, you're contributing to EO Day, and actually beyond EO Day on the storytelling that will help EO get noticed by the right people, so we're influencing the right people. I think we've got another one in, Ross.
What was that, sorry?
I think we've got another one in around using EO Day to promote the EOT.
Yeah,
clients, and they got great feedback from the clients, which is a great idea.
Yeah, it's a fantastic time to put any news stories out there. If you have anything related to your employee ownership trust, or if you know somebody that's transitioning, for our support members, if you have clients that are looking to transition around that time, then it's absolutely the best time of year to be sharing those stories, just because the potential for outreach is huge, because you've got an engaged community that is looking to share that kind of news to millions of people potentially.
Oh, and we've got a few more EO stories questions in here. How to submit the stories? So the page, there is a button on the page, and it gives you the idea of what you need to email to us. So that will be going live later today, and we will be sending out a mailer, and we'll also put the links in a follow-up to this webinar. But you will just need to say which category it is, a short summary about that story, and then you will just email it to us by June the 4th, and we will then arrange it on the page. The story size, Kate, we're looking at, we've suggested anywhere between 800 to 1,200 words. Some people are good at writing short stories, some people longer, but it's about the essence. And if you go to the page, it gives you sort of 5 things that we think you should include in there. So there's some kind of they're just 5 general things that we think, whichever category you submit in, that if you tick those 5 boxes, then it'll give it the structure that covers things that we know our members find important.
Absolutely. So
we've got somebody who's having their first employee forum meeting that morning with some sort of employee social event, pandemic allowing, and that day will allow us to spread the word in person and via social media, and they'll make good use of the digital part. Well, that's great news. I would love to see your pictures if you're meeting in person. If you saw the slide that Deb had earlier, the biggest joy for us is when we see employee owners getting together and celebrating their EO. We obviously want you to reach further than that, but the joy for the EOA office is seeing all those pictures on EO Day being shared on social media. So we, fingers crossed, that you can all be together. We're hoping that maybe the EOA may be able to be together in the office. Well, yeah, and another one about announcing your transition. Please tell me if you're going to announce your transition for EO Day. I'll be doing lots of media on the run up to EO Day, and quite often they will want case studies, and they'll want ones that have recently done it or are about to do it. So please let us know. We will run those stories through our channels. We will give you a quote. We will prepare you with the latest stats. We may be able to give you them even before they're released for you to prepare. So yes, we will support any communications about transitions in the week of EO Day, or at any time indeed, if you want to get in touch with us. We do that all the time, but for EO Day week, if you're announcing your transition, it's great because then you can celebrate that transition year on year for your celebrations for EO Day.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a really interesting comment here that there are probably a lot of anniversaries around that time, and I think that is borne out with what we've seen. A lot of people do like to announce the transitions at that time of year to coincide with EO Day. So absolutely, you'd be in very good company if that's something that you decide to do. Lots of our members have anniversaries around that time.
Yeah, sorry, Ross, I just want to go back to the one. So the one, somebody said here about them reaching out to their clients, and they've got really great feedback from their clients. And I'd be really interested to know if anyone's on this call who've done that before, if they drop me a note, because I know that some places have done that really successfully. For some, it would be really, really pertinent to do it. For others, it wouldn't. I know for some, they've gone out to their clients, and one of their clients has become an EO in the future, and they've used that business as a sounding board of what they would need to know. And obviously, they've then introduced that person into the EOA network through the EOA, which has been really, really useful. And they've brought that EO to life. And we know for some of that, your clients and your suppliers, knowing that your EO is a good thing, and it makes them feel differently about your business, the fact that whoever they speak to on the phone is an owner. So any of the ideas that you've got or you've heard from us you want to speak about, you can pick up the phone to Ross or I, you can put a meeting in our diary and we can support you. And if there's anything in that pack that you're not sure how to get the best out of as well, you can also speak to Ross or I.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of kind of connecting with your clients and other EO businesses as well, I remembered what I was going to talk about earlier. It's the matchmaking service. So on 50 days to go, we'll be releasing what we're calling the BetterTogether matchmaking EO service, where we're looking to effectively, you'll be able to submit your name to be put into a random draw of a hat, maybe if we're feeling fancy, where we'll pick yourselves and another EO business in the network to be kind of EO Day partners, and you can arrange celebrations together. We just thought it would be a really nice way to get people within the network connecting with each other, planning things together, and really kind of living that better together message.
We've got a great example of that, actually. We know Rochdale Borough-wide Housing and Spectrum are both celebrating anniversaries for their public service mutuals this year, and we know that they're coming together to deliver a webinar. So they did that before we had the Better Together theme, but we thought it was extremely fitting. I'm just going to look, Ross, if we've got any more questions, and if we haven't, we'll wrap up. So we'll just check down here. So it's your last chance to submit any questions. I think we've covered them all. So
yes, I think so. So we'll be, all of the questions that have been asked, we'll record them, and we'll also kind of publish them as part of a wrap up for this session. It is being recorded and it'll be up on our YouTube channel probably the next day. They'll be sent out to everybody that's registered to attend, and then to the wider network as well. So yeah, all of your questions will be answered. I think we've got everybody today, but just for the sake of clarity for everybody else in the network, yeah, thank you very much for attending and for asking some insightful questions. If you have any other issues or questions, or you just want to tell us about what you're planning for EO Day, then our contact details are on this slide. Please do get in touch with myself. You can get me through ross.herring@employeeownership.co.uk. I'm also manning the EO Day at Employee Ownership email as well, and then any of our social media platforms. So I think that puts us in quite a good place to wrap up slightly ahead of time. Yeah. So got a 5-minute gap in your schedule. Go get a cup of tea, some biscuits, treat yourselves. Thank you very much for joining us today.